spirituality is one of the approaches, but it is not. Even as grantedly unconventional, but even as a minister myself, I have to concede it is not the only way to address the situation.
No.
There's a whole person involved here, and a lot of people coming into the correctional system are not Christian.
Yeah, a lot. Most of them are nominally Christian.
Okay.
I mean, like the average person on the street, you ask them, what's your religion? And they'll go, oh, Christian. They won't even say Lutheran or Baptist.
And they may not even go to church.
Exactly. Their default position, from what they even understand, is, oh, I guess I'm Christian. And so many of them, that's where they came from. They don't have a spirituality.
Yeah, but that the predominance of that response doesn't justify an assumption made by the staff. And so, if you're even going to address that, not being part of the system, my guess is that at some point they would be asked, do you want to see a chaplain?
When they come in, when they are brought into the system and diagnosed, okay? What level is their crime, associative factors, what programming do they need to be taking or were adjudicated to take. So all of these things.
What would be helpful to their rehabilitation?
Right. But one of the things that's asked is, do you profess a religion? Okay, and then that box is checked off. And then that just sort of becomes background noise. There will be programs available in the facilities of varying kinds. There's generally a basic Protestant service. There are intermittently Catholic services. There are Jewish services available. Each of the faiths, there are Islamic services available. But it's very much...
Which leads to the loaded question, are there pagan services available?
Yes, there are pagan services available. And there are only currently 2 pagan chaplains in the system, myself and my partner.
Out of how many ballpark figure?
Ballpark figure. There's 30 facilities. There's roughly 2 chaplains per facility, 60-ish chaplains. Okay, and we, the 2 of us, are non-Christian.
So we're talking about 1 to 2% of the whole system.
Yeah.
As far as staffing.
But there is no Jewish chaplain, there is no Muslim chaplain in
the current
time. So if anybody out there would like to get involved, we do need Muslim and Jewish chaplains and Buddhist chaplains. There is 1 Catholic chaplain who is part-time at 1 facility. So the other facilities have to deal with a volunteer chaplain who comes in once or twice a month to address their spiritual needs. They don't get Mass every Sunday. No, they don't.
Well, and the basic point of all this is to recognize that human beings do have spiritual needs.
And when they get inside, it's interesting because I talk with inmates about this all the time. The ones who are beginning to question the choices they made and why they made them and where all of that came from. And that's when they begin to ask, what about God? What about, support? What about choices?
Where does the divine fit in my life?
In my life. And I say, you can see yourself as being in a monastery now.
Okay.
This is the perfect time for you and you to sit down together and say, okay, what do I believe? Why do I believe it? What is my ethic? Do I have one? Where do I want to go with that? Because
do I have adequate self-discipline to serve my own growth?
All of those questions. This is the place where you can do it. There's no distraction, unless you choose to have it be. I mean, you don't have to choose what you're going to wear. You don't have to choose what you're going to do or what you're going to eat or when you're going to bed. Nope.
It's a very structured, in a sense, supportive environment.
Exactly. If you look at it that way, it's a supportive environment for you to clear away everything except who am I?
Okay.
What matters to me? What is my truth? Was I raised with a truth? Was I raised with an ethic?
Well, and also the question, am I in here legitimately or am I in here because my attorney made a mistake?
Well, and that's one of the big ones, because initially everybody is innocent. But at some point, the
And
ones...
some of them are.
And some of them are. Very few, as a matter of fact. Frequently, they are not guilty of the crime they were sentenced to because it was pled down.
Okay.
All right? So they're doing other time on a slightly different charge than the one they were first brought on. But that's irrelevant. The point is, at some point in our lives, all of us have to say, you know, I'm not perfect. I have made bad choices. I need to own my bad choices. And then I need to ask myself, how do I do that better and differently?
Yeah. And even for those very few who are innocent, to say, you know, you can complain about the world not being ideal. The point is, this is where I am right now.
And what am I doing with it?
And what am I going to do with it? Right. I can live in the shadow of this the rest of my life, or I can say, doggone it, stroke of bad luck, where do I go from here?
That's right. This is my chance to regroup. Mm-hmm. This is my opportunity to say, okay, what do I want to be when I grow up? Mm-hmm. And re-examine everything, all of it. Starting with very basic choices. There are no insignificant choices. Like I tell some of these guys, you start with the thing that got you here, for whatever reason it got you here. What was the choice before that? And the choice just before that? And this choice back here that you thought, you know, that doesn't matter. I'll do this one. It's okay. And that one led to.
And little things grow to be big things.
There are no choices that are insignificant. There's no point when you let someone else choose for you. I know a guy who...
Even when you say you do.
Even when, yes. I know a guy who's doing 60 years.
Okay.
Okay, on felony murder. Felony murder means he didn't pull the gun, he didn't fire, he didn't kill anybody. But he was involved in the crime where that happened.
Okay.
And when the guys all said, let's go knock over the 7-Eleven or whatever, he, sitting in the back seat and feeling, I don't really want to do this. But if I do this, if I leave, they're going to think I'm not cool. Not cool. He's doing 60 years to be cool. Choices. And not listening to his own ethic. His own little voice said, you know, I don't really want to do this. But he did it anyway.
Even if you don't understand what the choice is, I like to think everyone has something deep inside of them that will tell them when it doesn't feel right to be where I am.
That's right.
And to be willing to listen to that, you know, if you're sitting in the escape car, and to be willing to listen to that and say, you know, it doesn't feel right to be where I am, I'm going to go somewhere else.
Yep.
You know,
and
even
I don't
if it's
care.
just to get out of the car and walk away and walk 2 blocks in one direction, think about what I'm doing and walk back and see if they're still here or what happened. You know, just, I don't feel right where I am, so the one thing I know is that I need to somehow move myself to some other location.
That's right.
And to do
that simple of a choice.
Even that much.
Yeah.